Hi, what's going on? We're back with yet another draft video. Okay, that was super cringy. But either way, we're going over to the NFC West now. I decided we'll go from the other coast to the north to the south because AFC South would end up being last. I've talked about the Titans already, so let's just work our way over there, right? Um, we're going to start with the 49ers because I believe they were in last place. This division was actually kind of tight at times, so it's kind of hard to know. But either way, we'll start with them. Really, it's a team that had a lot of issues that I don't think anybody really expected, but they did. Just kind of is what it is. It happened like that. Um, Overall, I think I kind of overlooked these guys because they were just a few years ago they were in a Super Bowl. I think it might even have been last year, not this 2024. But yeah, let's get to them. Let's get to the bread and butter. Let's talk about them. Starting off with Michael Williams. I liked him a lot. They needed some help in the defense. Their defense was kind of rough at times, and their offense is going to kind of be rebuilding. Hoping that Christian McCaffrey could be healthy. They did have Jordan Mason though. Jordan Mason played pretty good football. They do have some issues at receiver now. I think it's only Brandon Ayuk. Of course, Ricky Pearsall. He should fill his slot pretty well because he played pretty well when he came back from his injury. Which, thank gosh, he was safe after the gunshots and all that stuff. But yeah, regardless, Michael Williams, I really like him. Listen, you're never going to go wrong with the Georgia defender. We've seen Jalen Carter. I thought Jordan Davis has been pretty good. Nolan Smith. There's so many to name. Kirby does a really good job with his defenders, and Michael Williams, I think, is going to be just yet another one of those. And yeah, uh, really like that pick for the 49ers. Next up, they had Alfred Collins from Texas, D tackle. No complaints from me. They need some help. They need help in a lot of places. They got rid of a lot of people because hey, we're trying to rebuild this. We're trying to get this figured out. And Albert Collins and Michael Williams at this point are a very good way to do that. I really like that pick as well. I think he's going to be a space eater. I think he's going to get to that running back like everybody else. And yeah, I absolutely love this pick. Next up was Nick Martin, linebacker, Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State had some struggles last year. They were not a phenomenal team, but Nick Martin was definitely not that reason. He's a pretty good linebacker. He's probably going to be a guy you put on the outside. He's going to be a guy that's going to help out with Fred Warner and handling all the things that they need to handle. Again, getting defense for them is super helpful, especially because that offense is rebuilding. But with Kyle Shanahan, I think you're just kind of hoping and praying that he's going to be able to figure that out for you. So I completely kind of understand why they're going defense. Probably would have liked to see a receiver, at this point, maybe a running back, but overall, I don't think you can complain with what they're doing. Next up, Uptown Stout from Western Kentucky. May I just say, hate Western Kentucky as a Middle Tennessee fan, but Uptown Stout's a pretty good player, and I really think he's going to fill a lot of roles for them. They did lose Tre'Davious Ward, so they do need a defender, a defensive back, and I think Uptown Stout's a pretty good one. So there's no hatred here. I like the pick for them. I think that they're going to be super happy with that. A very good player. CJ West here, defensive tackle at Indiana. I like him a lot. So the fact that he fell into round four, I found a little crazy. And the fact that the 49ers got him, I just had to roll my eyes and go, of course they did. I think CJ West is going to be a super good player in the league. And the fact that you got him in round four, I think is absolutely crazy. But obviously the other teams didn't think of him as way as I do. But I think he's a very good player, and I'm super happy with that pick for them. Next up is Jordan Watkins, it looks like, wide receiver out of Mississippi. And this is where I'm pretty happy, right? Because you finally got a receiver. And since it's a round four guy, immediate guy that comes to my mind are like Puka Nakua and Amon-Ra St. Brown, guys that got picked in later rounds. Amon-Ra, I think, was round three pick. I could be wrong on that, but there's been a lot of good round four, round five success stories, and I think Jordan Watkins can definitely be that guy as well. So yeah, as a fan, if you're a fan of the 49ers, I think you're happy with this pick, especially because he got him pretty late. So and Jordan Watkins can definitely play some football. And yeah, no hatred here. Jordan James, the running back out of Oregon. Yeah, finally they went and got a running back. Um, they need to do that. I know that they keep seeming to be able to figure out how to plug and play, and it just works out for them. But eventually, I don't know if that plan's going to work out. McCaffrey is an absolutely phenomenal player, but he's been so banged up. I'm just worried that the guy's not going to be able to play anymore. And I like Jordan James. Oregon was a really good team last year, so I don't think you can go wrong with going with anything on their offense. Their defense, a little bit picky at times, but their offense was absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, I think Jordan James is a phenomenal pick here, especially in round five. Um, Probably could have gone a little later, but I have no hatred there. I think it's a fine pick. Marquise Siegel, safety out of Kansas State. Forgive me for this one. I'm not quite 100% caught up on them. I know they were a pretty good team at one point. But overall, I don't think it's ever a bad pick for them to get a safety. Now they have Robert Saleh back. Every defender they get, I just expect to be a really, really good defender. Robert Saleh has coached phenomenal defenses over the years, and I think he will just do just that again. Um, yeah, there's no hatred for this pick right now, and no hatred for any pick to be honest with you. But we're not going to say that. Curtis Rourke, quarterback at Indiana. I like Curtis Rourke. I'm going to be honest, I was a little shocked that he got picked over Quinn Ewers, but he did a pretty good job last year in the Big Ten, so maybe I'm wrong here. Yeah, there's nothing for me to say here because the odds are that he's not. Well, obviously he's not really expected to be the starting quarterback. Brock Purdy is eventually going to get paid, and he's going to be that guy you expect to be the guy. And I believe they still have Josh Dobbs on staff. And so Curtis Rourke is probably just going to be a third stringer or practice squad quarterback. But I think he could work his way into that second string area. And maybe if bad things happen to them, which just have seemed to be that way this year, maybe he'll see a little bit of playing time. And I'd like to see it for Curtis Rourke. Love to see a success story. Connor Colby, the guard out of Iowa. Be honest with you, not the biggest. No, it's just a guard pick late. There's nothing wrong with it. Nothing bad about it. Pretty solid. You get him in round 7. You probably just expect him to, be a space eater on the offensive line, and he'll probably be doing like special teams, snapping, long snapping, stuff like that, practice squad stuff. All you can do is just hope that these guys develop and hope that they become really good players. Junior Bergen, wide receiver out of Montana, again, probably a special teams guy, probably a practice squad guy. Nothing really to write home about, but shout out to Montana. Love to see guys get drafted out of Montana. That's super cool. Yeah, I think this is a pretty good draft, honestly. If they would have addressed a couple things on the offensive line because they are aging, this would probably be an A for me. But I think a B plus, probably an A minus. A minus is a pretty good pickup for this, so I think that's what we're gonna rock with was an A minus for the San Francisco 49ers. Alrighty, so now we are on to the Arizona Cardinals, a team that started off hot, ended up getting really rough down the end there. Yeah, let's get started with them. Walter Nolan, defensive tackle out of Mississippi, probably one of my favorite picks in this draft. I thought that he was a top 10 talent kind of defensive tackle, and he ends up falling at 16. I know a lot of people probably had him lower. I personally thought he was just phenomenal, so I was super happy with him. Yeah, whew, that's a super good pick. Super good pick. Will Johnson, cornerback, Michigan. In my honest opinion, he probably not Travis Hunter. That'd be my only caveat for this. He's probably the best corner in this draft if he's not hurt. And hopefully his injuries and everything are able to be worked out. I know that they say he had a similar thing to Miles Jack. Miles Jack did end up playing 70 years, so you can only hope that with Will Johnson. But when he's on the field and he's healthy, Will Johnson is an absolute animal. And right now, this is my first A plus draft just because of that. And yeah, we'll get to that here in a minute. But overall, Will Johnson just becomes an absolute freak. I love him. I think he's going to be a great player. Hopefully, he's healthy. Jordan Birch out of Oregon, super good edge, super good edge. And you start seeing at a little thing here. Jordan Birch is also a guy that probably should have went a little earlier, but he fell to them. And Cody Simon's going to be that next guy that should have been picked earlier. And even Denzel Burke at this point, which is why I absolutely love this draft. These guys, All three of these guys are absolutely great players. We'll start with Birch. I think Birch is really good at getting off the edge. I think he's going to be really super fun and defense, coached by Gannon. Gosh, I always forget his name, but he gets off the edge really well. Now you're able to put him on the other side of, I believe they got Josh Sweat, if I remember correctly. And if that's the case, yeah, that's a pretty good team to go to. These guys, he's going to be able to help Birch get eat some space, and Birch may be able to get open on the other side, go pop that quarterback or that running back a few times. All you can do is here's open, right? Cody Simon, I really like this guy a lot. I think he's going to be more of like a coverage linebacker for them, but I think he does everything pretty well. So getting him in round 4, I find absolutely crazy to me though, because I thought Cody Simon could honestly went round 2, but maybe there's just something I'm not seeing there. But yeah, there's going to be no hatred for me because I think Cody Simon's a good football player, and yeah, getting him in round 4 I found to be absolutely crazy. Denzel Burke, this is the first one that I could kind of be like, okay, fair enough. But I think Denzel Burke's going to be a really good player in the league. They have over there in Arizona, they definitely needed some help in the secondary. Unfortunately, that team struggled a little bit on offense here and there. I would like seen more from Marvin Harrison Jr., more from Kyler. But I think that all these defensive picks have been really super good for them because that was a defense that struggled a lot. And you're just kind of giving yourself opportunity to make things happen. And yeah, I like Denzel Burke here. Round 6, you got Hayden Connor, guard out of Texas. Same thing as I kind of said about the 49ers a minute ago. There's no hatred here. I love late round guard picks because you're making an investment to protect. And Hayden Connor from Texas, I thought did a fairly good job of that. So when you're getting him, I think you're pretty happy here. Kitten Crawford, safety out of Nevada. I think, again, probably a guy that's just like a special teamer. You know what I mean? He looks like he's super quick. Um, and it's pretty cool to see a Nevada player drafted, kind of like Montana. You don't see them as often. I know we had a couple from back in the day. There's a pretty big one, but I'm gonna say his name wrong somehow because I'm dumb. But overall, I like that pick for them. There's no hatred here from this draft for me. I look at all of it, and I think they're addressing a lot of their needs. Yeah, I'm gonna have to give this an A. It'd be an A plus if they kind of did something at the wide receiver position. But really, they got a lot of guys that I think are going to be absolute steals. And yeah, there's no hatred here. There will be problem. This is an A for me. Okay, Seattle Seahawks. Right now, we're going to Gray Zabel. Gray Zabel, guard, North Dakota State. Unfortunately, I have had bad luck with guards from North Dakota State. Dylan Radins was that guy for the Tennessee Titans a few years back, and he just really has not panned out, and that's just kind of frustrating. It's super unfortunate. But overall, I think that this is a really good pickup for them. Gray Zabel, pretty good player. Looks like they're kind of rebuilding their offense and not doing a full rebuild, but doing a kind of a rebuild. And I think that's a pretty good start. You go and get yourself a guard. I think they got a tackle a few years ago, so I think that they're just kind of hoping to build those trenches and protect Sam Darnold, and you can never go wrong with that. Nick Emmanwori is a safety from South Carolina. He climbed up boards pretty late, but I've heard a lot of good things about the guy. Yeah, no, no complaints whatsoever from me. I think he's a really good player. I really like him. You get him in round 2. I think he's going to be really, really solid for there. Their corners are really good. They've had Witherspoon, they've had Reek Woolen, and now you add this guy to that backfield with the head coach that they have. I'm gonna get his name wrong, so I'm just not even gonna say it. You know what I mean? But he is super good, super talented, and now that secondary is about to be really shored up, you should expect some hits from over there in Seattle, and maybe not gonna be Legion of Boom standard, but they'll be all right. Next one up, round 2, pick 18, Elijah Arroyo, one of Cam's favorite targets. So I like this pick. You're going to be able to run some twin tight end sets now. You have JSN, you have Cooper Cup. You got yourself a tight end that's going to be able to be a space eater on the outside when not on the outside, but on the inside, be able to run those little be able to run the post, be able to run those other kind of things very, very well. He's also a really solid blocker, so there's no complaints here for me for him. I like him. I think that's a really good pick for them, especially because you don't really know all that about Noah Fant. So overall, not a complaint for the Seattle Seahawks. I really like Elijah Arroyo here. Round 3, pick 28, Jalen Milroe. Okay, so here was the last quarterback I kind of understood being picked before a certain other one. And the reason is because I think Jalen Milroe has the potential to be the most talented quarterback in this draft class, behind Cam Ward because he's a Titan. But I digress. I think Jalen Milroe is super good. He has a lot of potential, man. He is super powerful. He's super strong. He's super fast. I've said super a lot to explain Jalen Milroe because that's the kind of game that he can play. If he can work on his accuracy and his consistency, I think that you're absolutely loving Jalen Milroe. If this is the guy, I wouldn't be shocked if this is the kind of guy that you wanted in your scheme fit here, because Jalen Milroe can play some football, and overall, I think is a super good selection for them. I like Jalen Milroe a lot here. Riley Mills, defensive tackle from Notre Dame. Ugh. Notre Dame had a pretty good team last year, and Riley Mills was a really good reason for that. He's a super good at getting into the backfield and hitting people, and he's going to do that very, very well. With his coach over there, I think that he's going to be a pretty dominant player. And I know you found him in round 5, but I expect him to deliver. I've watched a lot of Notre Dame football just because I was surprised in the later ends for them to be even in that consideration for the college football playoff. And I kind of understood why with how they were doing everything. They were very grind them out, really tough, really dominant football. And I can honestly see Seattle maybe trying to be that way just from this draft class alone. Round 5, pick 30, Torrey Horton. Okay, this is the most underrated receiver in my personal opinion. I've seen him play for a while, and I think he's super good. He's really, really good. I think that he's going to be a guy that's going to be starting pretty quickly. And maybe I'm overhyping him. You know, I've definitely done that before. But overall, Torrey Horton's a super good football player, and I'm super excited to see him with Seattle. I like him a lot, man. I'm really jealous that he ended up going there because I wanted the Titans to take him. But overall, I'm pretty happy with what they did. And I should probably quit talking about them because who cares? But the Seahawks, Torrey Horton, super good football player. Robbie Owls from Alabama. I'm assuming this guy's just really going to be like a run blocker kind of guy. So you can't go wrong here. Alabama was a pretty good football team. I mean, they competed really well. Fortunately, things kind of fell apart for them at the end. I believe they lost 3 or 4 games. So sucks for Alabama. But yeah, nothing wrong with this pick. I kind of like what they're doing. They're looking kind of grind them out. We're gonna try to hit people. We're gonna try to get in their face. We're gonna try to do things, and I think this is exactly the pick that you're going for here. Bryce Cabaldo, guard at the Kansas. Kansas was not a very good football team, but it seems like Bryce was just fine. Actually, no, no. You know what? I did watch a game of theirs. I did watch a couple of them, and they know how to run the football. So maybe that you get this guy. Maybe that's what you're going for, right? You have K9, so yeah, nothing wrong with this pick whatsoever. I think you're just trying to protect your guy. You're gonna get in somebody's face with Bryce and maybe put him on the butt. Maybe that's what you're hoping for. Hopefully he develops into a really talented guard. I would love to see that because I always root for people to make it, and that would be super cool. Damian Martinez, running back, Miami. Probably not going to be a guy that sees a lot of playing time right now. I know they had 2 pretty solid running backs, and yeah, that's just Seattle style, right? They know how to run the football, and Damian Martinez, I think, is just another pick for that. So no complaints here. I like it. I like the pick a lot for them. Probably a guy that's going to crunch some kick returns back. Pretty fast guy, and probably a guy that maybe you see here and there. You'll probably get to see him during preseason, so that'd be super cool for him. But yeah, you can't go wrong in these round 7, round 6 picks, in my personal opinion. Mason Richmond, offensive tackle from Iowa. Uh, Again, I really like him. Iowa, unfortunately, which is kind of a team, and they've been that way for a while. Their offense has just never been anything exciting or anything to write home about. But again, you're not really wasting anything. Get him in round 7. I think that I think he's going to fight his way, and hopefully he makes the team. always hope for that success story here. Ricky White the third at a wide receiver at UNLV. I always love seeing people getting drafted out of these small colleges, and Ricky White is just yet another example of that. Um, I don't that you're not going to hear any hatred. We've talked about it enough. Probably a guy that just runs some kicks backs, runs some punch back. Guy that you don't know if you'll see in special teams or anything like that. But maybe a guy that makes the team and sets us all up and is the next success story. Overall, I'm pretty happy with their draft. I think there were a couple things that they maybe should have addressed a little more. But overall, no hatred here. Probably a B plus. They had a couple other things that they should have maybe worked on, but I think you're pretty happy with this draft as a Seahawks fan. All right, now, not last but not least, let's go to the division winner, and that is the LA Rams. Here's the thing, I'm going to be completely honest. I don't think that they did things the right way here, so this one's going to get kind of a grade from me if I'm just being honest with myself. But starting off, they got Terrence Ferguson out of Oregon. That's a super good thing for them to do because they've struggled at tight end forever. So getting him in pick 14 is super good. Um, Let me give them a little credit here because they get a round one pick next year. So I think that their draft will be even better next year. But right now, I think with the team that probably needed to fill up a couple holes, especially on the offensive line, for how well they were manhandled against Philadelphia Eagles, and they're still kind of trying to rebuild that defense. There were just some things that I think they needed to get, um, but starting off with Terrence Ferguson, I don't think there's anything wrong, especially because their tight end production has been kind of over the past few years, and which I find kind of curious to be honest with you, because I watched Stafford a lot when he played for the Lions, and he really did like hitting his tight ends as much as he could. So I don't think you're going wrong with this pick. I'm happy to see him drafted, so I don't want to hate on him too much. But I just think I think maybe you should have probably tackled O line here. But I don't think it's too rough. Josiah Stewart, edge from Michigan. Yeah, I I think he's going to be an issue. I really do. Michigan's defenses have always been really, really good, and yeah, they're kind of keeping with that the last couple of years. So I think getting him here, you're super happy with. Yeah, that's not a bad pick whatsoever. Jared Verse is obviously your leader, so hopefully that he can teach Stewart. He's a round three pick, so you're probably expecting to see him get some playing time. And yeah, I think uh, nothing wrong here because Michigan defensive players are just super crazy, super good. I like this a lot. Jarquez Hunter. This is the first pick I actually really, really enjoy from them. Um, because I like Jarquez Hunter. I'm probably saying his name wrong, and I apologize for that. But uh, I personally I love the running back from Auburn. That was one of the few bright spots I thought on that team. That team had so many just issues, but I think Hunter was not one of them. You have a really good running back in Kyron Williams, but other than that, I've kind of seen them kind of have to fill on that running back position. I think Hunter gives you that likelihood of being that guy that's probably a number two and he stays there. And even if injuries do happen, which they tend to happen in the NFL, it's just how it works. Hunter's going to be able to fill that role pretty well. He's super fast. I like Hunter a lot here. Ty Hamilton, defensive tackle at Ohio State. I think this is really good value here. So no hatred whatsoever. I think Ty Hamilton's a super good player. You're going to be able to put him alongside Fisk, and he's going to be able to get into that backfield and do his job very, very well. And yeah, no complaints. No complaints here. Chris Paul Jr., linebacker out of Mississippi. Yeah, I think he's going to be a guy that sees some playing time, to be honest with you. But unfortunately, probably not too much of it. Probably going to be just kind of like packages and stuff like that. But overall, I can't hate on the pick. You get him in round five. You're probably super happy with what you got there. Last pick, Konata Mumfield, wide receiver out of Pittsburgh. Probably a guy that's just going to see a lot of work in special teams, and probably a guy that's just kind of running pick balls back and stuff like that. We've been over this over and over and over again at this point, right? So I'll just shut up and go on with it. It's fine. It's a fine pick. I don't nothing really to write home about. I think it's completely fine. You know what I mean? Overall, I'm gonna give this draft like a C plus. Um, there were holes that I think they needed to fill on the offensive line. I think that their secondary needs a little bit of help. I was not super impressed by that. But overall, I think it's a fine draft. Like nobody's gonna get a D here because there are a few players here that I can absolutely get with and like it. Um, it's mostly a C plus because I just want to see more, and it was kind of the same way with like Washington. I just wanted to see a little bit more. But overall, I think you're okay with your draft if you're a Rams fan. I just want to personally see some more. But that's going to be it for the NFC West. We will get back to the AFC West next, which is fun because we get to talk about the Chiefs. Um, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I know I go on and on about the special teams guys, but they truly do make a big difference in the football field. So, absolutely love to see that. But if you do enjoy, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We're gonna keep bringing these out every day for you. Make sure to follow me on Twitch. Yeah, that'll be down below. But thank you so much if you stopped by to watch. I appreciate you so very much. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you all next time.